Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning to all of our listeners and happy Tuesday. We are thrilled to have you back in the universe of the WITEE Chatterbots. Hashtag WITEE, standing for Women in Tech Empowering Everyone. So send us a tweet on hashtag WITEE and tell us on what you want to learn. We are coming live to you from the bohemian city of Melville, from the Brand Live studio over. Oh, it's like quite cloudy today, isn't it? And I'm Carmen Murray, passionate about all things tech, innovation, purpose-driven marketing, and education. Now, just to remind you guys on this show, we are aiming to educate and keep you informed on all of things that can make a difference in your lives, but as well as in business, and give you different perspectives. We learn and we grow together here. And knowledge is your superpower, so it will make you unstoppable. So today, what I would like to talk to you guys about is entrepreneurship. And I thought, let me put a little masterclass together and to understand, is entrepreneurship for everyone? I want to actually start off with a interesting story. So Rebohani Academy is an academy that was started 2 or 3 years ago by founders Lawrence and Daisy Schlapane. And it's quite extraordinary what these guys are doing, and I'm myself on a personal level are very involved in this project. And basically how it all began was they started this entrepreneurship program for the youth, unemployed youth specifically. And what happened was the reason why they started was they had a break-in in their house, and they were not very happy about it, quite angry, and then they started looking around to try and find their car, which was also stolen, and found it in Vosloorus. The police called them and they went out there, and at that moment in time, Daisy and Lawrence decided they're either going to be angry about what happened or they're going to channel this into this energy into something positive. And what they did was they designed this program, started a school, and they started recruiting young students, and they said to them, okay, right, come, let's see if you are a candidate for our school. And they designed a 3-month program. And how it worked was they all had to come and do TED Talks and telling their story, their journey, and so forth. And then they started them off with a ginger beer recipe. So you had to, they would give them the ingredients and say, okay, right, here's the ingredients, make it, sell it, and then come and tell us about your journey. And then they started showing the students, how do you actually research and find your passion and what you want to do? And when you found your passion, how does the research element of it work? And then how do you pitch your business, the business development strategy behind it, even managing your staff, your accounting side of the business, operation. And this whole business is structured on collaboration. So everybody that teaches at the school is all from our industry. Whether you're an agency, whether you're in marketing, whether you're a wholesaler or somebody that is passionate about psychology or, activations, it doesn't matter. But everybody that is in the industry, we invite them over and then we say, okay, come and do a class for an hour that fits within the program on this particular topic to give the students a broader perspective on this. After the 3 months, eventually, they qualify to register their businesses with CIPC, and then they also get a mentor to mentor them through the period of their business. And we've seen such tremendous case studies of young people that were not in a privileged environment that is actually propelled and exceeded beyond their potential. And this is something that I think we all aspire to, is we all want to become entrepreneurs. But Do we realize the amount of hard work that goes into it, but also the tenacity that you need to have in order to succeed? So, chatting to you guys about entrepreneurship and the things you need to consider in your pursuit as an entrepreneur. So, let's start with this. Many people want to become an entrepreneur, but it's not always as glamorous as it looks on the outside. Most startups fail because they don't understand the need and they fail to ask themselves the simplest of questions and could save themselves a lot of time and money and stress. So the going rate for business, I think the going rate for a business to succeed is 1%. So of all businesses, I think 99% fail. Now that's a shocking number, but I think after I've been in the entrepreneur space for a very long time, working at various entrepreneurs, not in a corporate structure, but more entrepreneurial, and it's quite a different ball game, and it can be a very daunting journey, but I need you to consider the positives and the negatives. Being your own boss obviously has all its benefits in terms of freedom, once again, freedom, which is great. But it comes with negatives because you have to run everything. It's no longer just doing one element of the business. You have to do so many different things. But another thing to consider is also that you become the CEO, and Elon Musk says it best: when you're a CEO, you're no longer focusing on things that's going right. You're always focusing on things going wrong. So your goal is to do completely different things. I mean, there's the administration part of things and getting your accounting side always sorted. So you're kind of only doing about 30% of what you love, because you have to get the other, the other things done, unless in the beginning stages, obviously. But as you start growing your business, then you can start focusing more on what you love. But here are the rules of starting a new business. And this is in particular what many people get wrong. The first thing is pick your business right. So concentrate on finding the right idea. Is it really that great? Don't be delusional, because sometimes also when we have an idea and we share it with people, we're like, this is such a cool idea. I've been there. I mean, just to give you an idea, you know what I wanted to start? I wanted to start a doggy couture designing, a doggy couture made out of ishweshwe. And I wanted to make tutus for dogs using African print material. At that particular point in time, I was like, this is such a great idea. And I was like fixated on it. But I didn't do maybe enough groundwork to show me that this is maybe not going to work. But with that being said, is you need to understand that you need to serve many people and this is the first thing that you need to understand. If you're going to say, okay, right, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, it's great that you're going to say, sell apples, for example. Will many people eat your apples? Would they buy it? Is there a big market for it? Because it's all about scale. So if you only have 10 people that's going to buy it and it's a cheap product, you're not really going to make any money. So you need to look at that. But also another thing is when picking the right business is, don't let money be your goal. I think that's where a lot of people go, and they have this idea and they're so fixated on the idea. I was one of those, where you're so fixated on the idea that you think of money, but that should be the result of what you're doing. So think about, how is this going to get me to survive and then thrive? The most important thing is that you need to realize that you have to make money. You have to bring in revenue. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't think of money at all, because it's very important to keep the business alive and to survive. But don't make that your main core reason for starting this business. You must be inspired by a dream. It should not just be about solving problems. You have to feel that it's not just a hobby, it's actually a business, but it's something you're so passionate about that when you wake up in the mornings, you don't mind working 18 hours a day. It becomes almost something you look forward to wake up and to start working on your dream. The next thing that I think is very important, and also where a lot of people go wrong, is the research. So many times, I don't know if you've watched Dragon's Den or Shark Tank and so forth, but sometimes people come up with products or services and you think, but there's actually somebody else doing that much better than you, and you're going up against a giant. Do you realize this is not really a great idea? And shame, then I feel so sorry for the poor dragons that need to sit there and listen on all these pitches, because they probably listen to thousands of them. But it's very important not to waste anybody else's time as well as your own time, and to go and start and identify who's your competitors and find who else is a competitor. Because if you don't understand your competitor landscape and who's already doing what you are thinking about, you are just setting yourself up for failure. Know the market size. I always believe, you look at what your competitors are doing, but don't focus too much on it, because it keeps your eye off the ball. You're looking back rather than looking forward. So it's important, but understanding what they are doing and how you can do it differently. Innovation is all about questioning the way things has been done before. And it's for you to try and change that. And when it comes to innovation, it's important for you to understand and do intense research. You can't ask shallow questions. You need to delve deep. For every why that you answer, you have to ask a why around that answer and delve deeper and deeper and deeper. There's so many cool tools which I'll unpack just now that you can use in order for you to do some research. Another thing that you need to realize is, where many people also go wrong, is that there's no perfect business plan, right? You can jot your idea on a business plan and you can put it down. But as you've planned it on a piece of paper is not the way it's going to go. And you are going to find yourself zigzagging up and down, adapting here. And once you start working on it, your customers are going to say, no, but we want this. We don't like that. And you keep on adapting and adapting. So listening is going to become a very important role in this adaptation process. And that's going to kind of steer you into a little bit of a different direction. But don't deviate too much. If you've done research on a specific concept or an idea of what you want to do, it is important for you to realize that if you are going to deviate too much, you're going to go far away. But try and keep it all together, and also realize where something is going out of your area of expertise, and always consider those things. But realize that there's no perfect business plan. I've seen this many times in my career, especially working in the entrepreneurial space, is that we'll have this great product, new idea, and we go to so many clients, and every time you go to a client, they change it. And initially what you thought it might be great for and how to use this particular a product gets used in a completely different way, and it changes the horizon and the goals that you have set for yourself. So it's important to keep that to keep that in mind. Another thing is also regarding a business plan is, when you do that, try not to write a 100-page business plan. Keep it to 2 or 3 pages. That you have to go through that process of thinking, which I think is important when you do a business plan, because ideas only start forming once you start working on them. So go through that whole process, but also realize that the moment you are so into the business plan, and I think we've all been there, where we have this idea and we're like, okay, this is how it's going to work and this is how we're going to do it. But you just keep on planning and not taking action. You're not going to get anywhere in your life. That's where dreams go to the grave, because people don't action them. So don't get too fixated about the business plan. Don't spend a lot of money. It is important, especially starting up a business, that you need to understand that even if you do have money, not to spend it, and to try and conceptualize everything. So logos, websites, products, research, there's so many tools that you can use, and I'll unpack that just now. as to how we could use that. So it's important to not spend too much money, because when you do that and you haven't had a sale in, and all you've done is spend your money on expensive logos and websites, and especially if we go back to the business plan part where you've actually started seeing people and it changes completely, you're continuously going to have to update the website, continuously going to have to update everything, and your logo might even change. So don't spend too much money in the beginning, because that's things that you can fix later on in your journey. Your focus should be on getting the product or service sold. Don't do this alone. Have a support structure. I'm not saying go to a coach that's going to cost you money. Have a circle of friends or mentors that you can surround yourself, that can give you valid advice, something that you can really take to heart. We all have blind spots. We don't always see everything coming. And there's sometimes people around us that's gone through this journey that can really impart their knowledge to us, and use this as a support structure. Try and identify who those people are in your life and have a monthly catch up with them. Don't abuse it. I find a lot also, with people that's when you offer them mentorship, they tend to abuse it and they call you for everything, and they stop thinking. So you have a responsibility to think out of the box yourself, and to almost use your mentors to give you advice, but not always to be there for every single thing. You're going to have to start figuring things out on your own. A very important thing as well is sharing what's on your mind. So I don't know. I've always also been one of those people in my past life where it's like, I have this great idea, but I don't want to share it with anybody because I'm so scared they're going to steal my idea. We all do that. But then somebody said something to me, and it was like, wow, that's so true. If your idea can be stolen so quickly, like if you look in China, like if they see a new product that you're producing, within 30 seconds they can recreate that and produce it the next day. Kate Middleton's wedding dress. Within 24 hours, they replicated it and sold it. If your idea is that great, people shouldn't be able to replicate it. Not so quickly, at least. But you have to have a good idea and you have to really think things through, because this is part of the game. So, and also the quality of it. And you really need to make sure. I mean, products and services are two different things. I find services far more easier. I find the product world space very, very challenging, because everything gets so, with technology evolving, things change all the time and things can get done better and quicker before you know it. So those are things to consider. But I'm drifting off the topic, but the most important thing to remember is not to do this alone. Share your ideas and create that sharing economy. Because if your friend says to you, listen, I don't think that's a great idea, I think it's a good thing that you shared it with them, because at least you're not going to spend all your time and effort in getting that idea out to market if you've spoken to a lot of people, and especially with people close to you, that's your mentors, and they're telling you that's not a good idea. So keep that in mind. And I think also taking with a pinch of salt, and also be careful with the people that you surround yourself with. Do they have your best interest at heart? Is it people that want to see you flourish and want to see you grow? Not people that are giving you advice because of envy or jealousy or things like that. Is it people that feel, you almost need to be around people that you look up to. It's important to look up to them, because then there's no envy and they really have the best interest for you. And the other thing is that you almost need to be in a place where you can feel that you can rely on your support structure, that you really there's ways of how you eventually can support one another beyond the journey of your business, that there's value add for them as well. The other point is, don't jump into partnerships. I think if you watch entrepreneur shows, or if you listen to many entrepreneurs in their beginning, their first journey, many of them jump into these partnerships, and then a few years later they're trying to buy this partner out. And the reason for that is because you need to see partnership as a marriage. It's somebody that has the same values as you, that have the same vision. They bring exactly the same amount of time and effort to the table, brain power. It's not just about funding, it's about all aspects of the business. And if you have the wrong partner, it could be detrimental to the success of the business. So it's important to find a solution in that, and to make sure that if you find somebody that you really believe you could have a possible partnership with, instead of jumping into bed with them, I think the most important thing for you would be to date them first and do a small project together and see if you guys can work together for one. Also, what you need to remember is people grow. If I look at myself 10 years from now and who I am today, my passions, what I'm interested in, what makes me happy is completely different to what it was 10 years ago. And you need to consider that with your partners as well, that especially within business partners, is like, can you guys grow together? Evolve together? Or because, for example, you could maybe be the founder or the person that had this great big idea. You started the business, but you maybe not the one that wants to evolve, and you want to keep things the way it is. And if you don't evolve together, then that's also not, if you're not open to change, partnership is maybe not for you. Another thing to consider is this one is real, people. Embrace living outside your comfort zone. You're going to find yourself that you are given challenges that you need to try and solve. You're going to have to maybe do something. Like, I would never in my life forget the first time I had to stand on a stage and do a talk to about, it was about 1,000 people. I almost died. It was really the hardest thing for me because I'm all about personality. So I want to get my personality across and be my authentic self. I know sometimes I can be a little bit wacky, but this is who I am, right? And now you're standing in front of 1,000 people and you feel like this is not you. You don't feel yourself. You feel like your heart's palpitating. Oh no, it was just like that first experience was horrifying. But the more you start doing it, the more fun it becomes. And then you want to do it more and more and more, and the more you embrace it. Like if you think about a guitar, or a musical instrument, the first time you put that instrument in your hand, it's so intimidating. But the more you start engaging with it, like okay, I used to play quite a lot of guitar, but the first few times it's like uncomfortable, you're really not enjoying it. And as time progresses, like, oh my gosh, this is really not so bad. This is so cool. And then you start getting proud of yourself as you progress. So always embrace, being out of your comfort zone, because that's where growth really happens, is in those places where you feel insecure, where you not really feel like you can do it. Try and be open-minded. Sometimes you're going to get a brief, or you're going to get a client that says to you, you know what, I love what you have to offer, but I am going to ask you, I need you to change this, or this. Don't go and say, no, I can't do that. Take it on. Take it on as a challenge, and find people, if you can't do it, find people that can work with you on it. One thing you need to understand is that, especially with clients and customers, if they like you, they want to see you succeed, and they will give you opportunities that might be beyond what you have planned. The next one is, don't start a product yet. So what I mean by that, and you might disagree with me, but I have seen this quite a lot, working in the product space in terms of technology, is that sometimes spending a lot of money in the beginning can be a high risk to take unless you have the money to lose. Rather try and begin your business with a service angle using other people that's already developed these products, and then you almost become like a reseller for it, negotiate a better rate. And then as time progresses and you have more flexible cash coming in, then you can make a compelling product. Also, by then, you have seen where the industry is lacking, what you want to improve. Because once you work with something, that is when you start seeing, okay, right, this is the right way to go. I don't like this. This is what a lot of people are complaining. This is not flexible. And this is where great ideas happen. Sometimes you need to almost be an intern of your idea before you actually start implementing it. That is some of the things to take into consideration. Now, we're going to go in for a quick ad break. And then when you come back, we're going to unpack the top traits you require to be an entrepreneur.
You're listening to brandlife.co.za, an industry first in the world of internet radio. Not only are we an internet radio station, we are an internet radio platform for your brand. So why not expose your brand to potentially thousands of listeners and improve your customer relationships and brand equity with podcasts and live broadcasts? Be sure to check brandlife.co.za for more information. brandlife.co.za, harnessing the power of internet radio. Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. brandlife.co.za.
Morning, everyone, or shall I say welcome back. You're on the hashtag WITEE Chatterbots show, and we are talking about entrepreneurship and if it's meant for everyone. We've just unpacked the rules of starting a new business and in particular what many people get wrong. So quickly want to talk to you guys about the top traits you require to be an entrepreneur. So Elon Musk, he says something quite extraordinary, which I really like. He says, eating glass is like staring at an abyss. Starting starting a business is really like so scary. But like when all the problems starts happening, and the first 2 months is bliss, but then afterwards it's like really like staring at this abyss and eating glass, and you just feel all the pain. You really need to have a high pain tolerance, is exactly what he would say. But hey guys, all things are not bad, but for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, here are a few of the things that I would say, and I'm not the first one to say these. You need to have passion. You need to love what you do. If you love what you do, you wake up every morning, you can't wait to get started. Very important. You gotta love what you do. You need to have audacious goals. Be bold and be strong and have big goals. Don't think of, oh my gosh, that's not even possible. Think of it and set the goals and try and achieve it. Don't procrastinate. If you're a creative or you're in the creative industry, I would be a little bit more lenient on that, because I do believe that a little bit of procrastination, especially when you are in a creating space, is good for you, because because how they speak about procrastination is once your mind closes off something, it stops thinking about it. So in a creative industry, I do think that it's important to have a little bit of procrastination. But in your business, be aware. Get things done as quickly as you possibly can. Get it out of the way. Learn to say no. Look, saying no is very hard, and sometimes my heart breaks, and in my environment. But it's important that you need to understand what your priorities are, what you want to achieve, and what your goal is. And is this decision that you have to make now going to get you to that goal? Sometimes you need to adapt. And also what your gut is telling you. Listen to your gut. Don't ignore it. So learn to say no, but find ways of being polite about it. Then also consider being a people's person. If you're not a people's person, it might not be in your favor. Customers buy into people. They buy from people they like. Make sure that you are not a rude, reckless person out there, because I can tell you that's not going to get you far. Customers want to see you succeed, as I mentioned before. So if they like you, they're going to do whatever they can to support you. So make sure of that. Then spend time on the right things, and also spend time on things that's going to progress your business forward. I always think about my time and how I allocated it. Is this going to bring in revenue, or is this getting me to revenue, or is this just a nice to have? So think of those kind of things. Now that we've unpacked the top traits and we understand what it is to be an entrepreneur, now you decided you want to become an entrepreneur. You're fully convinced this is really what it's meant for you. Now, how do you start? Okay. I'm going to give you some tips here. When you start as an entrepreneur, the first thing is you choose a name. Make sure your name is not silly or can have negative connotations. Make sure that it's easy to understand, it's easy to say, it resonates with people and people get it. And it's also not a name that can be outdated. You think of a name that you can say, for example, you are doing a business in electronics, and eventually you decide you don't want to do electronics anymore. You now want to do app development. If you have a name, you can still change the business model within that name. But if you really put a name to it and it says electronics, then you have to do electronics. So try to be a little bit more generic with your name. Once you've decided on what the name is, then you go and you register your domain. Very, very important. It's the first thing you do. You go and you register your domain. It costs as little, I think, as 99 Rand for a year. You can go to companies like Hetzner. You could go to AfriHost, I think GoDaddy. There's quite a few places where you can buy. Just Google online. Then you go and you register your social media assets, as well as your and social media assets could be Google Plus. People think, why Google Plus? Google loves Google. So if you have Google Plus, your brand will feature. It will have a better organic result when people search for your company name. Facebook is also, you're going to need to create a lot of events possibly on Facebook. So it's going to become very useful for you in future. And it's also a social platform that's great for driving, awareness around your product. LinkedIn is great for business. Have to have LinkedIn. And then the other one is Twitter. So just go and register those 4 accounts as a business, and then the business domain. And what you also need to consider is when you choose your domain is try and look at the domains available and try not to be deviated. So you can't go, for example, to if you do electronics and you choose a domain that says .gallery, try and choose something that's more generic and that people can understand, relates back to your business. We've mentioned research earlier. So once you've done the research and so forth, it's very important for you to understand that this is critical. This is the deal breaker. If it's not useful, then not useful. If people see research as being useful but not critical, it's critical to know your direction and where you need to go. There are many free tools on how you can do research. So one of the methods would be, although it's not South African, but it gives you a very good indication as to what people are searching for and what type of questions they ask around products. It's a tool called answerthepublic.com. Put in every product you can think of in there, and it will give you hundreds of questions. You can click on the questions, see where the results are taking you. But it's great, and it actually gives you a map of all of the questions of what, when, how, why, and the type of things that they would ask. Another tool would be to do research, is to understand. Obviously, you want to understand who your target market is. So go in there and go onto Facebook and search your target market. So if I'm, for example, after marketing managers and HR and so forth, what I would need to do is go and search all of those positions on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then I can see, okay, roughly there's about 650,000 people in marketing in South Africa. Is it a good thing? Yes, it's a very, very good thing for what I'm planning. So you need to take that into consideration. Then keyword planner is also great. It's to see what words people are searching for online. It's a free account. You can just open it with your Gmail account. Really a great tool. Then the other thing I would say is go and talk to people. You know, everything online is great, and it's great to see what people are doing online. But you also need to consider that you need to talk with people, that your prospective clients, and try and understand how they would perceive your product, and try and do a deeper diagnosis and understand how they would want to use your product, and maybe they can give you some tips on how to improve it. Now, you obviously need to also register your business with CIPC, because nobody can do business without that. So CIPC is quite an easy process. You can go online, quickly register it. They ask you for a few documents. You need to have 5 names when you register it. So try and select names that as close as possible to what you are aiming for. Actually, it would be wiser to first register before you register the domain, just to make sure that it's aligned. And then the other thing is the accounting, and get your house in order, because you need to have the basic documents ready so you can run. Because if you spend too much time on these documents, you are probably not going to get anywhere. So some of these documents are your company profile, what you're about, what do you do, what problems do you solve, what products and services do you offer, have a BE certificate, very important. Go and have a tax clearance certificate. Now, very important with a tax clearance certificate is you can still have a tax clearance certificate even though you don't have a VAT number. So it's just to show that your accounting is in order, and your tax and pay as you earn all is in order. Get your tax clearance certificate. You can get it online. It's quite simple, very easy. And then if you do more than R1 million a year, you need to register for that. If I'm not mistaken, I need to double check that number, but I know voluntary you can register on 50,000 Rand. And that is also important, because then the accounting part of submitting every 2 months for your VAT is also imperative. Keep your receipts, your travel. Try and keep a logbook. You have to keep a logbook. There's also having your basic documents like your presentation, if you need to go and sell, your pipeline, all of those kind of things. But we'll talk about that just now under sales. So let's actually jump into that. So I'm very passionate about sales, probably because I'm quite a people's person. So I don't see it as sales. I'm seeing it as solving problems. I always want to understand what products and services can improve people's lives and make it better, and how people get promoted. So the first part is, you're probably going to find yourself hating this in the beginning, and a lot of people hate the sales part of it, but it's probably the most crucial part of it, because if nobody's out there getting business, you're not going to succeed. And you need to realize that sales is like a science. And what I mean by that is that, for example, for every 100 people that you call, you might get 10 meetings. For every 10 meetings that you get, you might convert one person. So it's all about the numbers. Do your planning in advance. Do your canvas list and do research on all the businesses you want to target. Go onto LinkedIn. Go and see on LinkedIn who's the people, the position, phone the companies, get the email address, try and call these people, speak to them, have a good intro mail, whichever you're more comfortable with. But if you're not reaching somebody on email, pick up the phone and call them. Don't be scared. This is the part where I said embrace being out of your comfort zone. This is probably the worst one, because you have to make contact with strange people all the time. You also have to assume that everybody that you speak to is going to say no, because if you do that, you won't put your hope into somebody's and hoping that they would say yes. Just move on at a rapid pace. Hustle. I'm a hustler. I hustle for a living. Like, it's important to find a way to connect dots differently and see how you can bring people together and how you can bring ideas to life in a different way. Have a timeline and set goals for yourself. But also it's important for you to keep track of every single person you've contacted, who said yes, who said no, who didn't come back, and who you need to follow up with. Because if you don't and you harass these people, they're not going to like you. And they might bump into you in future. So do remember that. And network, like if you're invited to a network event, hustle your way into a network if you can. Find a person that knows a person that can maybe get you a free ticket, or you can be on their guest list. If you know one of the speakers that say, please can you get me to be a guest at one of these conferences? Do all of that. And you will find yourself that once you start getting confidence in sales, and once people are really grabbing onto what you have to say, and you have good presentations, have a compelling presentation. So when you go into client, do your research, know what they want, know what they don't do, where they lack, so that when you go in there, you're going in with a compelling message. You will see this is actually the most fun part once you embrace it. These are some of the tips. Now, I hope this has helped you today. We only have a little bit of time. I do offer a masterclass on this. So if any of you are interested, you can just give me a buzz on #WITEE and send me your private message, me your email address, and I'll send you some information. But all I want to say to you is, we can all be entrepreneurs. You just need to make sure that you get the fundamentals right, and that you're up for the challenge, that you have persistence, and that you're going to embrace everything that's going to come your way, and that you follow the rules. And I promise you will succeed if you follow all of these rules. Success is not about the idea, it's about you. Remember that. People buy into passion. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za